What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I've got a little bit different of a video than I normally do. Normally, we cover a news article. Well, I'm not going to do that today. I'm absolutely not going to do that today. We're going to do something totally different because not really totally different, not really anything out of the norm. I'm going to run a couple of clips for you guys because we've got some interesting clips. We've got some interesting stuff going on. So we're going to run those, but we're going to open up right quick with, you know, what Democrats are doing. I love it. I've been covering article after article after article. Anytime, you know, say Donald Trump, the DOJ or whatever, goes after Jack Smith or goes after James Comey or goes after somebody, it's always, the narrative is always, oh, well, this is political retribution. And they'll write these big, long articles, salacious articles about, oh, Donald Trump is on the war path and he's trying to get revenge for his political retribution to his enemies. And it's always political enemies. It's retribution. It's this, it's that. Donald Trump's just being a vile, fascist dictator, scumbag guy over here, you know, tantamount to Hitler, for crying out loud. And then they wonder why people get violent. But it's Donald Trump's revenge. It's Donald Trump's retribution, folks. But when we take a step back and look at everything, we're like, hang on, this isn't political retribution at all. These people actually violated the law. These people actually did something wrong, and they need to be held to account. But we don't get that. We don't get the reverse, do we? We absolutely don't. We have been browbeat over the face for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, as a matter of fact. And then they want to say, oh, Donald Trump's political retribution? Well, let's compare the two, if you will. Eric Trump actually just blew up on Chris Cuomo. Check this out, y'all.
Do you think that it is fair to say it looks like the administration is going after its political opponents now and doing exactly what you say you oppose?
What, Comey? Because I mean, it seemed very clear to me in the congressional testimony. I don't know, just watching it, I certainly seemed like he lied to me. I mean, I'm also wondering what an FBI director is doing, taking memos from the FBI and leaking them to the New York Times. I mean, Chris, I'm a guy that hopes that the FBI director would be keeping planes from flying into buildings, you know, keeping our country safe, keeping the Western way of life safe. Instead, this guy is, you know, communicating every single day with the New York Times. I mean, I'd hope a lot better, but I find it so ironic that you're literally one that's pushing back on the weaponization of government when the very same people that were coming after us, you know, went after your brother, you know, like hounds. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy his governorship. They did everything they could to destroy his life. They did everything they could to destroy you. I sat in that same seat. The only difference is my last name wasn't Cuomo. My last name was Trump. They were trying to destroy my father. And by doing that, they were trying to destroy me, and they were trying to destroy the Trump organization. They were trying to take all our assets and strip our name off of every building in New York City. You've been on the receiving end of the very same people that I've been on the receiving end of. And so to play coy with me as if this isn't happening in the United States of America just seems ironic and foolish given what you've been through more so than anybody.
Hold on a second. What did you just say that you think I'm doing? I'm asking you questions about whether or not, if something is wrong, it is also wrong to do the same thing when you get back in power, which certainly happened the first time the administration came in. You went right after Biden, and I don't mean you weren't part of the administration. I'll get to you in a second in terms of what's going on right now. But if you think I'm playing coy, you don't know me as well as you should.
Chris,
I'm not playing coy. I know what happened to me,
Chris,
Eric. I'm saying that what is happening now looks like what was done to you. That's why I'm asking the question.
Did we raid Biden's home? You know, did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, you know, against Biden? Do we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? You know, did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's marriage? You know, was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating with the Kremlin in Russia? You know, did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we put Biden in a courtroom every single day? 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense, to try and keep him off of a campaign trail and to try and destroy his life. You know, did we do any of that?
You know, I think he may be onto something right here, because if we take a look at what is actually going on, you know, is Donald Trump trying to tear down Letitia James? No. What did she do that they're going after her for? What did James Comey do? Are they trying to ruin his reputation, take his livelihood, and lock him up? Well, they are trying to lock him up. But hey, guess what? You lie to Congress, you suffer the consequences of that. Are they trying to rip everything from James Comey? As a matter of fact, they're not. Are they trying to take out Jack Smith? No, they got fired. Just like all these FBI agents that were fired. Oh, that's political retribution, isn't it? Well, did we go after them criminally? When we absolutely should have. And I criticize the Trump administration for not going after some of these people criminally when they absolutely broke the law. Not going after some of these people that oversaw the weaponization of the federal government against you, against the American voter, as a matter of fact. Trump supporters in particular. Did we, once again, go after Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, any of these people? No, we did not, folks. As a matter of fact, they let Joe Biden off quite easily. Of course, that was under the Biden administration, but even still, is Donald Trump trying to rehash the classified documents? No, he's not. He's letting Joe Biden ride off into the sunset. As a matter of fact, it's not even going after Joe Biden at all. So I don't know what this political retribution narrative is. It's garbage. It's all garbage. But you know what? See, this is the Democrat mindset right here. And we're going to get into, I've got another clip, which will probably be the thumbnail. I've got that coming up here in a minute because I wanted to segue into the Democrat mindset. Well, they're trying to pretend, oh, well, this is what you guys did to us. When did we do any of those things to you guys? You guys go after Trump over nothing. Right? The 91 felonies, right? All the federal charges, garbage. The state charges, garbage. They got him. 34 felony counts, right? And I told somebody the other day that was just fake. They're like, oh, it's not. He really was convicted. I said, yeah. Well, I mean, you can convict an innocent man. You mean to tell me you want to sit here and make the argument that we've never convicted an innocent man before? You really want to go there? Right? Now, Donald Trump, I will be the first one to admit that what those 34 felonies, what he actually did was definitely guilty of doing. But he was guilty of a much lesser crime. See, the problem with that is the reason it was felonies was because there was a magical underlying crime that never took place, folks. They couldn't even tell us what it was. They gave the jury literally multiple choice. You pick which underlying crime he broke, and, you know, guess what? You don't even have to agree on which underlying crime it was. You know, you three could pick A, you four could pick B, and the rest of you guys, the other five over here, you could pick C if you want to, and we'll get our conviction. When you have to resort to manipulating the jury with a multiple choice on the underlying crime. You can't even say what it was. And then when you look at the underlying crime that raises a misdemeanor to a felony, hang on just a second. He was investigated for all three of those. And guess what? Guess what? You'll never guess. Oh, he did nothing wrong. The investigators found that he did nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, they dropped those charges. They dropped the investigation. There never was any charges for the underlying crime to raise a misdemeanor to a felony that he was actually convicted on. Did we ever do that to any Democrat? But that's the Democrat mindset. They believe they've been slighted. And what is the correct response for when you get slighted with violence? Oh, it's to hit back. But Democrats, like I said, it's the Democrat mindset. They can't handle it. They're screaming and crying. It's too contentious. We wanted a softball interview. Check this out.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel
you
like
need
this
them
is
to win.
unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
Correct. And I
argumentative.
said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered
I don't
our
care.
follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And we're
Porter,
just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never had to do
reporter.
this before, ever.
You've never had to have a
end an
conversation
interview.
with
To end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make.
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting is a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question. And I've asked everybody the same follow-up question.
Oh, the entitlement, folks. How sheltered do you have to be? She was a representative, right? You heard it in the video. She represented Orange County. She was in Congress, in the House of Representatives, for a pretty good while. I don't know the exact extent of her service, if you even want to call it that, but she's a Democrat, obviously, and she's sheltered, obviously, and she's a Karen, obviously, and she doesn't want a contentious interview. She doesn't want tough, hardball questions because why? Why do I say that? Oh, but well, it's clear in the video, but even still, because they don't have answers for these questions. They cannot, absolutely cannot, give any sort of substantive response to a tough questions because they don't have solutions, folks. Democrats never have solutions. It's always gobbledygook when what comes out of their mouth. This is another Kamala Harris, except she kind of looks a little bit more coherent. She doesn't look drunk. As a matter of fact, although she may be drunk, we just don't know. That's an unsubstantiated claim, by the way, so don't take my word for it on that. But I just love this right here. Right? You're just going to storm out of the interview. You're not even going to answer some basic questions. That's not even tough questions. You know, how would I answer that? Well, you know what? I'm going to do what I can to try to win over those voters. She does not want the Republican vote at all. That is not, as she said, a leader. She called herself a leader. Are you freaking kidding me? A leader does not, narrow their scope in to just lead this one cult over here, right? No, you want as many people in the cult as possible. So definitely for a politician, you don't want to ostracize a large, almost half of the people that could be voting for you, of your quote unquote constituency if you were to win the governorship. Really? Is that how you're going to delegate your responsibilities as the governor as well? You're just not going to care about the Republicans in your state? That's what it seems like. That's the messages that we're getting from Democrats currently. They don't care about Republicans. They don't want your vote. They don't want to be your leader. None of those things, folks. And we can't have leaders leading the country that don't want to lead the whole country, if you will. That's absurd, and it's insane, if you ask me. You know, I do feel really, really bad for California right now. I do, because y'all are just destroying California. And I know you can go over there and look, and you might not see it. You might see some of it, but you might not see all of it. I don't know how the hell, outside of Silicon Valley, how the hell they are managing to operate as a state, right? Silicon Valley produces a lot of money, so I guess that's what it is. Take away Silicon Valley, I bet you money that state crumbles within a couple of years. If that state crumbles with all the soft on crime nonsense, the homeless problems. They've got their issues over there in California, and it's because of leaders like this that they don't even want to lead everybody. They're not trying to be a leader for you. They don't want you. They want you to move out of the state. We've heard that from Gavin Newsom. As a matter of fact, I forget the exact comment, but it was something to that effect. Well, leave if you don't want to be here type of stuff. Like, are you kidding me? That's coming from the governor? Leave? Really? A lot of people did, folks. A lot of people left. But this is just truly insane. The political landscape in this country where Democrats don't even care for the vote of Republicans because they see you as a burden. They see you as despicable. You're just a basket of deplorables. You're in that basket, that deplorable basket, if you will. That's all you are. They could care less if you're there or not. They don't want to govern you. They don't want any of those things, folks. And that is not the mark of a true leader. That is not who should be leading anybody in this country. If you can't lead for all, you can't lead for any. I'm sorry. That's just how reality works, right? A good thing California does not run based on merit, because a lot of these elites would not be elites, folks. You know, the California and the Democratic Party is one of the few places where you can fail your way to the top. That seems to be what it is. Look at Kamala Harris. She failed her way almost to the top. She was almost there. And it would have been absolutely a failure to the top. But reality had to come in and strike her down. Strike her down. And now she has nothing. Absolutely nothing. She's not even running for governor. Like, I would love to see how she plans on winning that race right there. How exactly? When there's a lot of candidates out there, a lot of candidates who would actually get out there and tell Republicans, look, we hear you, we understand, we want to work with you. Might even pull some Republican vote or independent votes at least. Independent voter, you know, that's the fascinating thing about that. She didn't even say independents. She didn't even say Republicans, I mean. Right? She said people that voted for Trump, which would mean that a lot of independents voted for Trump. So you mean to tell me that's another thing I didn't think of a few minutes ago. You really don't care about that independent vote either? That's fascinating to me. But look, y'all, I've rambled on for long enough, so you guys let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. It's fascinating to me, y'all. It really, really is. These people are lunatics, y'all. Really, really lunatic. The lunacy is here, if you will. But like I said, y'all do me that favor. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click the join button. Sign up, become a member, and all that good stuff. Because you know you need to. You want to. But anyway, outside of all that, you guys remember that God has a plan for everybody. And He loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.